This is Middle Class Matt from don'tbuythehype.blogspot.com, and I am the Sports Genius. Today I'm doing a fight preview of the Adrien Broner Vicente Escobedo fight. Now that's one thing that brings up one point right off the bat. I am an expert when it comes to picking football games, basketball games. I predict NFL games pretty well. I got like the NBA playoffs right. I won my NCAA bracket. I'm good at all that stuff. But in boxing videos, I love the sport. I'm a huge fan of the sweet science. I'm a huge fan of the fight game. I love it. But with that said, I hate pronouncing all those games. Pretty much like every continent has produced a fighter, and they come from all different countries. Such a global sport. Makes boxing cool and interesting, but at the same time, makes it a pain to pronounce the names. But let's get down to the fight and not worry about that. If you don't like the way I pronounce names, you don't have to make comments about that. If you like, everything to be grammatically correct, then you can look at spelling bee videos. I'm sure they're much more interesting than boxing. But Adrien Broner is the #1 young star in boxing. If you haven't seen him, then you're not really a true boxing fan. You may like boxing, but you're not a true fan. I am a 3rd or 4th generation, I'm pretty sure 4th generation boxing fan. My great-grandfather passed it on to my grandfather watched my father. I now watch with my father sometimes when I can watch a fight. He hates guys like Adrien Broner. My dad's from the old school. He can remember Rocky Marciano fighting. Now, I personally, being from I'm a middle-class man, I'm from sort of the blue-collar background, my family, is in blue-collar jobs. I like a blue-collar fighter. I like Glenn Johnson, or I like Kelly Pavlik, and they bring their figurative work pail and hard hat to the ring and pound away like they're driving spikes on a railroad. I like that. And Broner is not that kind of fighter. Now, I'm not saying he came from a rich background. He's not like Mayweather, who grew up with money. But the difference is these guys are bred like a racehorse is bred to run. And so they are pampered from a young age. Now they may not have the money and that kind of thing, but what I mean pampered is I mean like they're treated as special, like athletes. Broner was fighting at 8 years old. Said he had 300 amateur fights. So this guy has known that he's a good fighter for a long time, and people around him have known that. He thinks he's special. When I've watched him fight over the last few years, and the things that have really stuck out to me is one is that he's flashy and he knocks people out. Now that's rare. Most of the time a guy's flashy, but he doesn't knock people out. He shows the hand speed, works the angles, like Mayweather, but has no real desire to knock people out. This guy likes to knock people out. 23 wins, no losses, 19 KOs. 19 KOs. And I can't remember the exact stats, but most of his fights don't get past the 4th round, and a lot of them don't even get past the 1st round. I watched him fight a young fighter who I was very high on, liked him, and thought this guy, had a future in boxing. He knocked him out in the 1st round. Devastated. He just he has such special punching power and special accuracy. Another thing about him is that his eyes, and that's another very important thing to watch in a fighter. I heard the HBO analyst talk about Mayweather having such great eye control, and that he said that even in an exchange, his eyes are focused on the fighter. Well, this guy in his interview, focused eyes. When he fights, focused eyes. Punching power. Think of him like a young Mayweather who knocks people out. Now that's exciting, because I believe if you can back it up, there's nothing wrong with bragging. Mayweather's problem is he'll go in there and run from a guy and land a few punches and then say, oh, what a great victory. This guy knocks people out. Last fight, he fought a guy named Eloy Perez. And as Perez was trying to get up from the knockout, he was falling over himself all over the ring. As he was doing that, Broner is dancing. And his dance moves are almost imitating how Perez is falling on the mat. So as Perez is falling and trying to stumble and get up, this guy is dancing his way to the top in the ring. I mean, what a great visual for a boxer. I mean, one of these great frames that you see in boxing. You think about, and this is not to that level. But you think about, Sonny Liston being knocked out and Muhammad Ali over top of him, showing the power. And there's these great shots in boxing. This was a really good, not great, man, but a really good shot in boxing to see this guy dance in the background. So if you don't know this guy is a guy to watch, Broner. Now he's fighting Vicente Escobedo. Escobedo has lost 2 fights already. Well, he's lost 3 fights, but 2 notable names. Robert Guerrero, who is a good fighter, but to me not great, but a very good fighter. And then Michael Castides, who's lost 6 times. This guy's been put on the mat, Escobedo. He doesn't have a great chin. Robert Guerrero put him on chin. Broner has special accuracy and power, so he should hit the mat again. So I really have no doubts about that. Now this guy will probably be the best fighter that Broner has ever faced. So it should be interesting to see him with a top-level opponent. But I don't have any doubt that Broner will win, probably in a knockout. He'll show that power. It's still a good test and a good win for him because when he beats these guys, and this is at the 130 weight class, just put that in there, at 130, then he's going to have more. It's going to improve his reputation and his clout as a champion because he's beaten a guy who's fought these other good fighters. But this guy's been put down, and now he says, one thing that Escobedo says is that Broner's going to have trouble because he has power. Well, he's won 26 fights, Escobedo, and he's only knocked out 15 people. So he's only knocked out about half his opponents, which is not bad, and you can't knock out quality competition all the time. That's why Mayweather, as good as he is, hasn't knocked out all his opponents. And so even though I'm saying I like Broner and he's like Mayweather with power, Mayweather does have power. He's just fought better fighters. But still, Broner seems to want to knock people out. He seems to desire to destroy the opponent. I was talking about how flashy, one of the things stuck out was how flashy and his knockout power. Another thing is you'll see his dad come out and comb his hair. That's something that I haven't forgot since I saw him fight the first time. But like I said, he has devastated fighters in the past. I've seen 2 fights that I mentioned where he devastated. I think the guy he knocked out that I was talking about that I liked was Klitschko. I think that's his name. So that was a devastating knockout where the guy was unconscious. But I want to see Broner fight somebody really good. And so I'm picking him to win this fight. He's an exciting fighter. I encourage you to watch him fight. Should be a great knockout or fight. This other guy is experienced, so maybe he gives Broner a challenge, and that will be even a better fight. But what I want to see is Nonito Donaire. That's who I want to see him fight. Now, he's at 122 and 29 years old. Donaire, that is. This guy, Broner, is 22 and at 130 already. But Donaire's having trouble making weight. And these guys could fight at a catch weight. Now I know it's never going to happen because it'd be too fun and boxing just won't really give us what we want like the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. But that's what I'm putting out there. That's the fight I'd like to see. Maybe at a catch weight, maybe 126, maybe even 128. Have him come up in weight class to 126, meet at 128, something like that. Or maybe they'll meet down the road. But I see Broner as a welterweight one day. So he's a bigger fighter. This is Middle Class Matt. I'll check you next time.